What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So, in my last video, I said I came up with an idea, a new technique that had me excited about the Mustang again. So I am going to apologize. A couple of folks were like, you came up with a new technique. No, well, I'm not sure. This is just something I never have really done. So I thought I'd give it a chance and see how I did. But I can't say that it's not a new technique because I'm not sure I've seen anybody else do it the way I did it. I don't know. You guys be the judge. But as you know, the Mustang was going horrible for me. The paint was not, well, the paint was good. The clear coat, not good. And you know what? You win some, you lose some. I'm not going to put any more thought into what happened and what went wrong. I'm moving on. Especially now that I've completed it. It's done, and I'm going to show it to you in a couple seconds here. But I'm very happy with the way it came out, and I'm really glad I did things the way I did. I'm kind of glad that the clear coat screwed up on me. I think, you know, this is so out of my comfort zone that, well, it no longer is. I'm just really glad that I was able to do this. Stretched my abilities, my building skills a little bit, taught myself a couple new things. Anyway, so I'm gonna not drag this out anymore. Let me show you what I did with it. Okay, so there it is. So, as you can see, we beat her up a bit. I don't have a pointer. I really need to make a pointer. So as you can see, there's rust here. I rusted it here. There's some rust back there. We'll spin it around. Rust on this side too. There's rust on the roof. I rusted the roof here. There's a patch of rust there. There's some rust back here. You know, I kind of beat it up because the paint wasn't the greatest, right? So I've never done this type of stuff before. As you guys know, all of my builds are, like, I try to have the best paint jobs I can have. The shiniest paint jobs. I pride myself on wet sanding, everything, primer, sometimes the bare plastic, the primer, the color coat, a clear coat. I wet sand the snot out of that stuff. I want it as smooth and shiny as possible. And polishing, I polish the heck out of it. I want to be able to, like, have a mirror finish. Yes, I know it might be out of scale. Yeah, some of the cars really don't have that deep a shine, but that's how I want them to be. And that's how I enjoy building models. Well, at least I did until this one. I had so much fun doing this. So, as you can see, we dirtied up the windshield. We got some windshield wiper swipes there. The undercarriage is dirtied and kind of rusty, and the bottom of the engine's oily. I need a little more practice on that, I think. Let's see, I dirtied and dustied up the engine bay. That's the engine bay right there. I love how this came out, guys. I'm so happy with it. It's the first model I've ever really done this to. On my shop card, there's a Ford pickup that I rusted up by using brown primer to start with, and then I used a flat Rust-Oleum over that, and then I sanded through spots. You know the routine and the tricks for that. But this is the first time I've actually dirtied up a car. It is dirty and grungy. And, you know, not too dirty and grungy, but the perfect amount of dirty and grungy. Got my 1972 New Hampshire license plates. They say bossy. I don't know if you can see it or not. 72. 71. What a dope. Anyway, you can see some of the staining on the front bumper, on the rear bumper, if you can see it. You might not be able to make it out, but... So, how did I do this? How did I come up with this? Okay, so, what I did, I was lucky enough where there were two of the spots on this car, there was a little bit of solvent pop that had popped through. That kind of helped with the rusting effect. It made it look bumpy and rusty. But I found, you know, there was only two. I needed more than that. But I found as I went along, I was able to make it look kind of the same way without the solvent pop being there. So, what I did, I don't have the thing out that I started with. Here it is. Okay, so we had basically a shiny paint job, right? The first thing I did was, on the raised spots of the hood, you can see maybe that, yeah, right there. You can see how it's faded there, it's faded there, it's faded there. And then on the roof, you can kind of see how it's, that light is not, oh, there we go. It's kind of faded in a C motion right there. And then I did kind of the same thing to the tops of the fenders and the quarters. So what I did was dry. I took a 2400 grit sand pad, and I just scuffed it real quick. Just to like make it turn white. Then once I wiped it, it looked like the paint was faded in those spots. The paint clear coat was faded. So that's how I started. And then I went through to my areas that I wanted to add rust. And what I used was, so these are Vallejo Panzer Aces acrylic paints. Okay. So the first thing I started with was dark rust. This is number 302 dark rust. And I used one of these Q-tips. And where I wanted to add the rust effect, I took the dark rust, I just tapped it. Dipped it in the paint, and then I just tapped it. Left little dots. Okay, and while it was still wet, I took a regular Q-tip and I blotted it. And then I let that, you know, I went through and did all those spots that I wanted to add rust. I added rust, you know, around the edges of the front fenders. Front fenders are rusty. Not so much in the quarters on this side. This side, the quarters pretty much, it's going. It's rusty up here. It's rusty down the bottom. It's rusty around the wheel arch. But that's how I did that. Dot with the hobby grade pointy Q-tip, dab with a regular Q-tip. Went all around, did all of those spots, let them dry. Then I went along with, there it is, again, Panzer Aces from Vallejo, 301 light rust. And then I did the same thing, only in smaller amounts. So that gave the effect of the lighter rust on top of the darker rust. And like I said, if you have a model that you paint and you get some solvent pop or you get something that's really rough, that's perfect for wanting to do this. Because solvent pop is little bubbles and craters, right? Just like rust. So, like these spots right there, that spot's solvent pop, that spot isn't. Those aren't solvent pop. That spot is solvent pop. A little tiny bit right there. So as you can tell, you can see, looking at it, you can't tell which one's which. It's the blotting with the fat Q-tip that kind of makes it raised up. It makes it rough. Gives it the rust effect. So I added some rust, like I said, on top of the on the corner of the roof there, and I figured the top of the fender, for whatever reason, maybe pine needles sat there, or so, who knows, right? And it caused it to rust. So once I did that, the dark rust, the light rust, I let it dry, And then I came along with, again, Vallejo Model Wash. It is a light rust wash. And I just dropped a drop and let it run down the rust, and then let it run past the rust, so it looks like a rust stain. It looks like, on the silver, it looks like rust stains. And then I used that on the chrome in spots to make it look like the chrome was starting to break out. You can still see through the chrome. It's perfect. I can't believe I've never done this before. So, that was the rust. And then I did the underside. That was, same thing. Dots, dry brush of the light rust, dark rust. And then I took, to me, a panel line accent. Oh, gosh. Again, not prepared. This, and I soaked the bottom of the engine with it to give it that oily effect, right? Then I went over the whole thing with the rust, and then I dry brushed that to give it that dirty, rusty, kind of dirty, rusty look. So what I'm going for is kind of a beat up car that somebody's starting to fix up, or started to fix up and then had to start driving it every day because their regular car broke down or got repossessed or stolen or whatever. But so now they're driving this. Now, how did I make it dirty, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. So, I looked online, and there was a lot of techniques for, you could airbrush Tamiya buff, XC75 or something like that. You could thin that, and you could airbrush that on the model, and it would give it that dusty kind of look, right? But, so, I kind of wanted to do this and show you guys how to do this. And I wanted everybody to be able to do this. Not just people with airbrushes. Not just, because I've got a full setup. I could have done it easily. But not everybody has an airbrush. As a matter of fact, not everybody can paint inside. So, how I made this dirty? Women's makeup. Women's makeup. So, this is what I've got. I applied it with makeup brushes. I used to dust my models with these. Now I'm going to have to buy new ones because these are now my rusting and dirty brushes. But so I took, the majority of what I used was highlight? I don't know. The lighter one. Right there. And I just dabbed it on the brush, brushed the whole model. All right? Made it look like dirty and dusty and smudged and grungy. And it stays on there. It doesn't come off on my hands. I don't know if it's the type of makeup I'm using. LA Colors. These are, I don't know. It's makeup. Okay, so that's what I used. And then I used the little brush that's in this one. There's that little brush in there, right? And I used the light one right there. Doesn't specify what it is. I masked the window off, and then I rubbed that onto the window, and then I took my finger and I smudged it out. Let it sit for 20 minutes, peeled the tape off. There it is, a dirty window. So anybody can do this. Anybody. So you can go to the store, dollar store, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, who knows, anywhere. Pick this stuff up. It's cheap. And you can do that with your stuff. Now, you can get this paints at like Hobby Lobby. This stuff is fairly inexpensive at Hobby Lobby. And there you have it. So, I went from hating this model and throwing it in the trash, actually, picking it back out, hating it again, and now I love it. This thing is cool as heck. I am so happy with this model, it's not even funny. I'm so happy with this that, not right away, but I will do this again to another model because it's so cool. It's so cool. So, there you have it. the Rustang, or the Disgustang, or the Grungestang. You know what? It's cool. That's all I'm saying. So there we go. So, hopefully this helped. You guys that have bad paint jobs, don't throw in the towel. Don't throw them away. If you've got a really bad paint job or something you're not happy with, you don't want to take the time to strip it and redo all that, make it a beater. That is so cool. That was so cool. Anyway, so thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. As always, go check out Mark at Hobby Nut Models. He's got a bunch of stuff over there to support the hobby. Models, supplies, you name it, he's got it. Go check him out. Thank you to Matthew at MCV Products. He's got a ton of 3D stuff and new stuff hitting his website like every week. So go check him out too. And I think that's it. So, you won't hear from me again until Sunday, but Sunday is the USAC reveal. So make sure you watch that. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.